I'm Joni Smalley with Lakefront TV. We're here on location at Mote Morris House. It's been another month. Let's get an update from Blake.
With finishing up with our building rough-in, all of our exterior doors and trim we're finishing up next week. We'll have the insulation going in, and then we'll continue right into the wallboard. And after that, it's just all the interior finishes. So everything's looking good.
I'm here with Eric Kleinsteuber from KMF Architects to tell us a little bit about Mote Morris. So, tell us the difference between a restoration and renovation.
Sure. A renovation is when we're actually changing a space, okay? A restoration is when we're methodically putting everything back exactly like it was. Here at Mote Morris, we have a house that was on the National Register of Historic Places. It's still on the National Register of Historic Places, but obviously, as everybody knows, it went through a tragic fire. Our project here is somewhere in between a renovation and restoration. After the design team got into the house, there were just parts of the project that we were not able to save because they were simply completely destroyed. So we spent a lot of hours and months, really, measuring existing profiles, going through pieces of the project that were burned, and then having those pieces replicated, but maybe not out of the original materials. So some of the materials might have been out of a endangered species, so there were some historic mahoganies that we weren't able to replicate that maybe are being redone out of oak or pine. But at the same time, we've tried to keep as many of the existing pieces in the house that we could. So most of the stairs are existing to remain. We've saved much of the historic oak flooring. The floors are being put back in with a very similar species that had to have been replaced. We've saved pieces of flooring from one room and patched another room, and then replaced the floors in maybe the room that was heavily damaged.
Why don't you show me around?
Okay. Well, Joni, here we are in the main entry foyer, which was actually one of the least damaged spaces. And as you can see, it is still pretty heavily damaged, and we had to really come at the project pretty hard. All of the wall coverings, not just the actual wall covering, but the plaster itself was completely damaged, both by smoke, fire, and water. So we had to remove all of that material. Now, one of the places where we were talking about the difference between restoration and renovation, based on project budget, we actually are putting back traditional wallboard like we would all have in our normal home, as opposed to a historic plaster. By reallocating those funds, the city was able to upgrade the fire protection system, which wasn't in the original project. Right. So we were able to work that through with the city and our contractor partners to make sure that our dollars were spent wisely. Okay. So maybe we'll show you a spot that was almost completely removed from the house. So here we are on the west porch. So the fire actually started underneath the floor here. What's interesting is the floor itself is part of the original structure, but the entire roof of the porch and all of the surroundings had to be completely rebuilt, including this entire exterior wall. The fire then moved underneath the dining room and then went up into the second floor. So even though the fire started under the house, we actually had a lot of structural damage upstairs, which was atypical or unexpected. Here in the dining room, we have had significant damage to the structure of the house. At the same time, we couldn't remove the second floor, so we actually came in and from the exterior slid sistered joists back in. So you have the original structure, which you can see is fire damaged. It's been contained with a fire containment barrier, but a brand new piece of structure right next to it as well. So Joni, you were asking about some of the challenges. Like any construction job, it's a living, breathing animal. In this case, as we started demoing and reshoring and adding structural elements, a couple things actually came up that were more damaged than we expected. So on the east porch here, we had to actually completely rebuild the porch and bathroom, which was not in the original design. So Joni, we're upstairs in one of the bedrooms, and this is one of the spaces where we're actually going to be able to save the historic floor. So while it is damaged, it's not completely destroyed. So our team is going to just expertly come in and resurface all of this existing flooring. So as we know, fire rises, right? So eventually it made its way up into the attic space and completely just ravaged the roof of the building, even though it started in the basement or the subfloor. Because of that, we had to essentially replace 95% of the roof structure. Before we were able to do that, we had to structurally brace the entire house. So the whole house had secondary bracing, cross bracing around the entire perimeter and the floors. And then we were able to literally pop the lid off the house and then stick frame and rebuild the entire roof structure from scratch. So Joni, as a design team, we know that the Mote Morris house is an important part of the city of Leesburg. It's part of the fabric of the city. It's been here longer than any of us have. And we just want, everybody to know that our ultimate goal as a design team was to bring the house back to what it was. And for the average visitor, when they show up, to not really know a difference before and after the fire. And it's just going to be a really beautiful project when we're done.
Thanks, Eric, for showing us the Mote Morris house. Don't forget to support your local businesses and share a little sunshine. See you next time on Lakefront TV.